Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. This is Tap Talk number 13, and we're Tap Talk live here in Malta. And if you would like to join us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, please do ask any questions and comments that you have in the box. You need to be logged in on those particular platforms, but please do jump in, say hello, let me know you're here. And also ask any questions you've got on any subject as you wish. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what difference does a tap hero really make. By tap hero, we mean a household that is using tap water for their drinking water and not using plastic bottles, so avoiding the use of plastic bottles. And sometimes I think people sometimes, when they're talking about sort of becoming more sustainable, more environmentally friendly, they may think, well, what's the point? What difference does it really make if little old me, my household, makes that change? And there are two sides to that. The difference it makes in your household, to you personally, and also the wider difference that it actually has, because what we do in our household, our impact does have an impact on more than just us. And we're going to be looking at the reasons why that is. First of all, with tap, and then we're going to show some illustrations from a wonderful illustrator called Brenna Quinlan, who does some amazing inspirational work. And so hopefully we can get some inspiration from that. So first of all, let's start with the basics. One tap household means that 250 kilograms of CO2 a year are being avoided. And that figure comes from 1,000 plastic bottles a year. That's the European average for plastic bottle consumption in a household where you're using plastic bottles for drinking water. And 250 kilograms of CO2 is going to be the equivalent of a certain amount of kilometers, just to put it in context. So the average car across the EU, 120 grams of CO2 is issued per kilometer that you drive. And that means that one tap household saving 250 kilograms, that is the same as driving 2,000 kilometers a year. Now that's a big impact. If you were asked to not drive 2,000 kilometers a year, or try and not to drive 2,000 kilometers a year, you might think, oh, I don't know whether that's possible. But by not using plastic bottles for drinking water, you are achieving that same effect. Now, imagine if more people did that, the impact on our environment is huge. I think it's what sometimes we can look back at like the beginning of COVID. Do you remember when we were right at the beginning of COVID, we were all staying in, not going anywhere. And if you went out on the streets and had a look then, as in fact some people like me did, it was amazing. The clearer air in the mornings especially, the birds singing and all that kind of stuff. You could really see a tangible difference because something like 250,000 people in one go weren't on the streets driving around. An amazing difference. And I think that shows us that if we take individual actions and other people take individual actions, then collectively it really does make a difference. Imagine if we had 10,000 households all using tap water instead of plastic bottles for drinking water. That's just 5% of the households in Malta, just 5%. That would be like 20 million kilometers a year. It's a huge impact. We also know that if a household is converted to tap water and is no longer using plastic bottles, we know that they're more likely not to use plastic bags, for instance. So that's almost double the impact again. That's another huge impact. We know that household is more likely to recycle more. And also that's a huge help. And finally, we also know that most tap water households, most tap heroes will tell other people about tap water. And that happens because they have visitors in the house, they go to the sink, They may drink the water, they may taste it. Oh, that's all right, that is. And then where did you get that? And that's how the conversation starts. It's perfectly natural. It's not pushy or anything like that. But we hear from other customers, oh, this person told me, or that person told me, or my sister's got one, my brother's got one, my father's got one, whatever, things like that. So we know that when one household makes a change, it has an impact on other households as well. It's kind of like when one TAPP household makes their choice and makes their individual change, it creates a ripple of positive change, which you're not really in control of and you don't think about, but it just happens. And I think, in fact, the work of Brenna Quinlan that I'm going to show now, that really is how she sort of is talking about that with her graphics. So a lot of us feel we get to this stage, we know that there are things wrong. And that we know we need to do something, whether it's climate change, factory farms, unsustainable use of resources, overbuilding, the way we do our agriculture, and in the way we treat animals, etc., etc., etc. We all know, we're intelligent human beings. We all know that this can't go on and something needs to change. But I think sometimes we wonder where to start. I mean, with all this, is that a personal responsibility for all this and we need to change it? And that's not necessarily a great way of thinking about it. This is why I love this work from Brenna Quinlan. It's very informative and it's inspirational, and it also puts things in a nice, succinct way. Because if we don't do anything, then we've given up our power. We have our power to make a change. If we choose not to change, we've just given up that power. Most people, I think most human beings, I would say, probably would like to think that they have some form of power themselves. They have some form of way of choosing and making a choice and some sort of freedom. That's what we vote for. That's what we work for and we live for. And so if we give up that power just by not making any change at all, because we just don't know where to start, maybe we can find a place to start. And also we might think that we can't find a system, if that's what we see, big companies or whatever it is, control and governments and all sorts of things. But I think the thing that this illustration points out is the people on the ground, the people in households that are consuming items are greater in numbers than the people at the heads of companies and the people at the heads of governments. So people vote with their feet, is one of the expressions that I've heard of often. If you actually stopped buying products, then companies would notice. It may take time, but action does have consequences. And eventually companies do have to change. But if we carry on doing the same things, the companies and politicians and anyone, they don't have any reasons to change. So that little bit of individual choice that we have and that action that we can take, that is important because it sends a signal. So this is a nice slide as well. Brenna Quinlan does a lot of work for community and stuff like that. And she also teaches permaculture, which is quite interesting for people that you want to look up. I'll give her links at the end, so you'll be able to follow her and see. Do pop on and ask any questions if you've got them. If you're catching the recording, we're live on a Wednesday evening at 7:30. Every Wednesday, 7:30, we're live. Please do come and ask questions about tap water and sustainability and things like that. So this lovely illustration here, our individual actions, we're part of a community. So our individual actions do lead to community level action as more people do it. And eventually systemic change, as we were talking before. That's how it works. It's up to us as individuals. And again, where we were thinking back to that very first slide, we tend to know that these things that we have to change, but where do we start? We sometimes see other people, I think, especially if you're in the Facebook groups, we see other people that appear to be doing it really perfectly, really great. And in fact, that's probably a human condition. We may all think that somebody else has got all the answers and they're doing it really well. And so therefore we don't start, we don't take a little action. One of these is this document here, this image here is a reminder not to try and be perfect. We just make small changes. We just aim to be better. And if we just start and we just make small changes, then that really does have a huge impact. And this is one of my favorites, the small steps. If we just focus, for instance, on changing our vehicle to electric or being car-free altogether, I mean, that's a huge change for many, many people. But maybe just getting on a bicycle once, or just planting a tree, or just buying less, or not buying something, choosing not to buy, or growing something, or taking that one less flight. I think, again, you know, COVID taught us a little bit about traveling. I mean, I miss traveling personally. I used to travel an awful lot, especially for my previous work. I'd be traveling sometimes every week. I never thought about the CO2 consequences. And then I became interested in all this and started to think, well, COVID was a really good way of not flying. So I didn't. And now I'm probably going to have another flight in December. That'll be, I don't know, 2 flights this year. That's a big improvement. But it's not easy. It's not easy because I like to travel and you know, jumping on a plane has become pretty normal. So it's not easy to make these changes, but we can make small changes. And that's what Brenna Quinlan's work is all about. So it's not one huge change by 7.9 billion people. It's lots of small changes by lots of people. That's what really makes a difference. That's what we know at TAPP Water, where we're looking for 10,000 households to make a difference. Once we have 10,000 households that are making a difference in Malta, we would probably want to extend that and go for more. You know, that's just 5% of the households. Why not have more? But 10,000 is our target, because that was something like, what was it? How many? 20 million kilometers a year driving in cars. That's the equivalent of, I mean, that's huge. So if we could just have some more people making the same small changes, that would have a huge impact globally. And that's really what it's about. That's why a TAPP hero makes a difference. So you can see Brenna Quinlan's work on Facebook as the Permaculture Illustrator, on Instagram as Brenda_Quinlan. And also there's some things on YouTube, but not a lot. Her Instagram page is under Brenda_Quinlan. Let me put that up on the screen again. That is just full of these wonderful inspirational illustrations. And she also very nicely says they are free to use for anybody. Just a thank you is all she's after, really. So please do check her out, Brenna Quinlan. Thank you very much, Brenna, for all the work you do. I personally find all your content really, really inspirational. So thank you for coming tonight. If you've got any questions, please do pop them in the comments or the box there. If you're looking at this later, then 7:30 on a Wednesday night in Malta, so that's Central European time. We are live talking about tap water and answering questions when we have them. And there is a 15% off discount code that you can use. That's SAVE15. And you can order directly off our website, www.tapwater.mt. Or you can email me at hello@tapwater.mt. And you can also hit me up on WhatsApp, 356-998-66142. And we can answer your questions there. So for this evening, on this lovely evening, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to be here with Brenna Quinlan's work, talking about what difference does a TAPP hero make? And the answer is a huge difference. A great thank you to the over 2,000, it's something like 2,200 and something at the moment, customers in Malta that have made that change and not using plastic bottles. Thank you very much for doing that. And please continue your great work. And we'll see you next time. See you next week, where we've got a guest for you next week. And we look forward to talking to them. And see you next week, Wednesday, 7:30. Thank you.